there are many chances that you will want to meet beside the class in order to work on your project. And when we meet, it doesn't have to be the entire team. It can be one person, it can be always the same person, it could be always the same two person, it could be a rotation. But in general, I'll try to keep the time after the class for having some time to meet again. But otherwise, it could be Friday morning and the weekend or whatever, because we'll make it work. Because again, it's not a normal class; it's a consulting class. So I don't want just one group. There's three groups doing well, as I want the three groups doing well. There's absolutely no reason why the three groups could not do well. And I've been doing this class for 20 years, and I think it's 100% of the groups that have done well every class. So it should be the same, and more so for this specific class than in any other. So essentially, you work on a group project. You will learn to be a consultant. You be an honest person and nice to your team and group members. So I'm just flipping through the pages, and there are the three groups. So I already made them. Like I said, I distributed. So Califia won in this group from the previous class. There's Tigran. So Tigran right there, a great team leader. Why? He was in the previous class. He participated in the annual event, the Wells Fargo Center for Small Business and Entrepreneurship, and he competed in the final, and he won the final, and he won the final presenting on Califia Farm. So a good team leader to have in your group, because he's obviously the Wells Fargo Center the 2021 uh, uh, fast pitch competition winner, which in his resume is going to look like dynamite. And for sure, I can tell you that. So he's right there. He's in your team. This group should do very well. But to be honest, is I want him to be the team leader for the first week. After this, everybody should get quickly. And I'm only mentioning this because again, I don't have a professor thing here. Is I have a senior consultant. Is I want success. So I just want you to know who he is. He knows what is going on. Um, and and I know what he worked on his project, and many of you know because you've heard him, and it's on YouTube. Everybody can go look at it again. Okay, so I would recommend that you go look at go cheat. No, it's called competitive research. You go look at what Tigran said last time, so you know exactly what he's got in his mind. So you don't learn anything new. It's public, and you look at the other people who presented. There was full presentation, so you see what they present, you see what they say. They give you some tips. I think Arash had a lot of good stuff on the financial, so go spy on Arash as well. Anyway, so it's just life. It's Darwinism, all right? And so you do that. So the next group like I was saying, is Carlo and Ivan. And I didn't mention about Carlo, but uh, again, who cares? But Carlo and his group got the best grade for the 31 reports from last semester. He doesn't
Well, I
necessarily
cared.
like what?
I said, well, I cared.
Excellent. That was good job, yes. So he doesn't even know he got the best grade in the class. So he's back there, and he has no mercy. I know that. So that's very good. He's going to do a fantastic job with Ivan as the two team leaders. So that's great. And you have all other great people in your team. So that should be fantastic. And then the Califia 3, I mentioned Arash. Arash was also a finalist. Um, Arash background is a very good competitive advantage because Arash is not his major is not marketing like the other students I mentioned. His major is finance and and entrepreneurship, but finance is what's really important because that's the big jump. A part of the big jump that there is between whatever everyone done before and what you're going to do next is you're going to have to be as realistic as possible. So you're going to have to think about real numbers. So that's the strength. Arash participated in the Califia Farm Best Fast Speech. He finished third. He's going to have a check. He wants some money. So he has a check in the mail right now. It doesn't realize that, but there's going to be some money for finishing third. and and so its strength is finance, and that's a very good person to have in your team. So you're gonna have a blast working with each other, and so they are the teams, and congratulations. So the schedule, so here I mentioned the when we have meetings, who do I meet first, who do I meet second, and who do we meet third. So this is your the our meeting times when we have classes which are not, there's no more classes after the fourth class, fifth class, and sixth class. So there's going to be group meetings, and this is what they are. So the first class today is I introduce everything, and I get into I get you inside a journey, I call it. It's the journey of what I think that you should know. So for many of you, that will be a repetition because you've heard it from either myself as a professor or from your other professors. I would say 75% is going to be things you've heard, and 25% may be new. And so I will do this today and next week. The next week, it's again the same thing, is I just finish what I started today. And then we have a mini quiz. So for you to know, is this mini quiz I made 10%. So 10% is not nothing, but it's really minor. So I don't want you to think because it's 10%, it's not important. It's important, but I don't want you to feel like this is a threat in your life, and then you quickly go back to putting your student hat and all that, because I want you to not so much have a student hat, but I have to have a quiz because I want some kind of measurement of your individual understanding of the basic material that has to do with marketing and business, just the basic thing. So um, students, for the majority, do well, but there's sometimes some surprises. But even if there's surprises, it doesn't preclude you to get a very high grade because it's only 10%. Then after this, we'll go through a team meeting. So just be careful that day next week. The team meeting will be shorter because we have the mini quiz to start. So the team meeting are slightly different just for that session, because we from 9 to 10:30 you will be doing the mini quiz. So there's just a 30 minutes sort of time that we will meet. I will try to meet with you at the end of today as well, just to catch up and to see what is going on and all that. And then we will go to the full hour team meeting, and we'll discuss where you are, what's going on, and all that. And then we'll have the fifth session, which will be the same thing again, but this time I hope we're really looking at polishing details. And then the class 6 is the presentation with the client coming to look at your presentation. And so that's why I'm saying the beauty of this class is that's excellent karma. The difficulty in this class is the fact that it's 6 weeks in a way. So you can't be sitting on the side. The advantage is that I'm giving you 24 reports to work on. So I took the 24 best out of the 31 reports. So what happened is, let me stop the screen and switch to a random report. So let's go back, share the screen. So I took the first one. These are in Canvas. If you go in Canvas, File, and then in File, you will see Califia Farms 24 reports. You will actually have access to looking at those 24 reports. So it's like, Professor, are you kidding me? That makes it too easy. True. But normally when you're a consultant, how does it work? Normally when you're a consultant, you look for data. You look for existing information. You look for past reports, right? So you look at these reports. Trust me, it never you get 20 pages to read. You get lots of things to read. So each time you have 24 reports, you're going to think it's crazy, but the reality is reading 24 reports. So you can say 24 reports. My God, there are like 10 pages each. That's 240 pages. Um, when you're a consultant, reading 240 pages of the things that are the same thing is nothing. It's very repetitious. You will see they're all the same format. So it starts with a little introduction. Here you go. And that's why we remember the team leaders. That's what you need to do with your team is tell them, relax. It's not that complicated because you know those documents very well. So you know there's a little introduction, then there's some key high level strategic key problems, and then you go into the SWOT. You know how they have written. You know that there's a statement that starts with like the title, and then you have the statement, there's a title, then the statement, there's some sources, then the weaknesses, the same format. That's internal, it's not external. So you don't screw up by mixing internal and external for sure. But I'll go back into this, I'll go in details. Then you go into the external. So in that inside the external, you have the opportunity and you have your threats. Obviously, if you go back to the if you go back to the syllabus, inside the syllabus is I tell you what I like you to do for next week. And that may seem like a lot, but the reality, I switched the PDF. I don't know if you see it. Can you still see the syllabus now? They went back to the syllabus. Okay, so if you look at what I put for, oh yeah, this week, as I say, for next week, you want to read these 24 reports. So you say, but they're not 10 pages. Well, there's 10 pages of report, and then there's appendices. Some have 3 pages of appendices. Some people have 10 pages of appendices. So you need to have like a laser scanner eye where essentially when you read these is you want to look for the strategic opportunity that these people are talking about. That's all you care. So I give you a tip. What keeps coming back? We should do baby foods. A lot of people talk about baby foods. So should I give you this stuff here, that what I'm going to highlight? Maybe I should not. A professor should not, but a senior consultant should. I already have done a little bit of a scheme through this thing and to put some of these. So I see a lot of baby foods coming. I see a lot of tea, protein powder, ice cream. The ice cream is very popular. Some kids products, because Califia Farm doesn't really focus on kids. So there's some kids products. There's products for some kind of B2B franchise stores and private labels. You know, a lot of people say, oh, they should do a creamer for Dunkin' Donuts or creamer for some other company or make products for other brands. Yeah, that's a good idea. There's a maybe one time there was someone talking about doing a retail store, a Califia Farm retail store. That's not a bad idea. Then there was 2 or 3 groups talking about plant-based eggs. So it's going into the eggs, plant-based. And so that was kind of an interesting subject. I knew nothing about it. When I saw it, I was like, wow, that's very different. So all of this doesn't mean it's true. It's what people are talking about. And so you need to be always interested, curious, and skeptical. Not pessimistic, skeptical, and look for data that supports it. Then there is the kombucha. Califia Farm kombucha. I mean, kombuchas are hot. That's an opportunity. People are looking for this probiotic, this and that. Then there's the plant-based meat. Personally, I don't like it as a person, but that does. I'm not the consumer. I'm the consumer for some product, but some not. As a marketer, you don't do things when you're a consultant for yourself. You don't play the role of the customer. You play the role of what's good as a match between my company and the market. So if plant-based meat is, it is. Then there's another one I didn't see anywhere, but it came to me later. So that's I threw it in, is the food truck. A Califia food truck. I'll pitch it to you, okay, just right now. So the opportunity. So the opportunity is not to do a Califia food truck, right? If you are saying that, you would not know what an opportunity is. That's That would be the strategic outcome of the opportunity. So the opportunity is that there's a growing number of people that look for fast food or from food trucks. And food trucks are becoming a growing alternative for eating out by X percentage according to this data. Then what I like about food trucks, so that was the opportunity. The strategic outcome is to create, is to do a diversification. That would be the name of the strategy, diversification, which consists in creating a new product for a new market. And it's definitely something that's significantly different than what Califia Farm does. And I sort of like the food truck, and I would put it in the context of maybe doing a store. So I would say, should we do the store and the food truck? Should we just do the store? Should we just do the food truck? Or should we do the food truck? And that would be some way of building the momentum for having a store, a Califia Farm stores. Yeah, that sounds good. So I will look into that. Then I would say, why would you do a food truck? I would do a food truck because there is a lack of brand awareness of the brand Califia Farm still. And I would say that the food truck would be part of a guerrilla marketing strategy as well, where I would want to be in places where people don't know about us. And I will also be developing the argument that Califia is very sustainable and all this. So then I would take a food truck that would be electric food truck. I would take a brand new Tesla truck or whatever and have a huge solar panel on the roof, even if it doesn't work, because it looks good. And it's greenwashing. And it makes everybody goes, oh, did you see the big solar? Maybe I'm being obnoxious right now, but anyway. I would play it that people say, oh, that's Califia Farm. This is this company that does all these good things. This is that. And they have the coffee. And I would sort of go against Starbucks. You know, Starbucks, you have those stores. So it would be like the moving Starbucks of the Califia Farm, equity, California-based coffee with the plant-based creamer. I mean, it's like, wow, this is a revolution. And Starbucks will be going like, whoa, what's going on? You know, these guys are, I think there's something really good in the food truck, but I can say this, all these things for any of these. I have some favorites, but that's just because of a personal vision. I'm only going to help you steer your research and improve your arguments and presentation. I don't want you to pick my ideas. It has to be your ideas. But your job is to pull all of these good bits out of those 24 reports and be able to look at these tidbits and say, there's lots. Okay, so I think Carlo has a question. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I forgot what the question was. I apologize. Never mind.
No. Yeah, I saw you jump in.
Well, actually, no, I was going to say most of this is product development, but there's other aspects that can be exploited besides creating new products. Is Califia Farms trying to be the next Nestle food service or Kraft? Or are they trying to stay close to their, what they're really, where they first started?
Yeah, yes. Excellent question. And I'm glad that you're asking that. It's a really, really good question because everything here is new product development. It's true, or some kind of new product. And I do not want you to think that what you can recommend Califia is only about creating a new product. These are just samples, and they have.
It's about creating profit. Hey, I understand it.
Yeah, growth. You're looking at growth, number one. Two, profit growth, and then nothing else, whatever. And then keeping the essence of the company. I think that's what you are saying. Where are they coming from? And not to steer away from their roots. So that's the three things I would recommend. Now, when I put this, I was thinking about the gazillion students that have been talking about the fact that the opportunity is to have farming with less water and all of this, and be more sustainable and all of this. The problem with this is it's it's complementary. It's not sufficient. If what you have to be careful when you come up with opportunities that you give to a client, it's like when you're creating a menu for a restaurant, you want to make sure that people, when they read the menu, they feel like, with this, I'm going to be stuffed. You don't want them to read the menu and go, oh, that's too little, too little, too little, too little. I mean, this is a diet restaurant. So you don't want people to feel like this. You want to feel that they look and they go, their stomach is already going, it's going to be stuffed. And I'm being extreme when I say that, but for most people, that's what they would want. You don't want to look for a menu which is like, man, I'm going to be hungry leaving this place. So it's the same thing. When you offer suggestions to the clients, you can have a core, the main dish, and lots of appetizer around it. But when you come back to me next week and the following week, is I want you to be very clear in the ranking of those strategic opportunities. Which one are main dishes, and which one are appetizers? And so they can be market penetration strategies where you just do something better than what they're doing. They could be. I didn't put in there the one that also was quite popular, but I don't know if it was popular because students thought about it, or if it is because they heard it into the Wells Fargo competition, which was the strawberry flavored almond milk. The strawberry flavored almond milk was in the Wells Fargo competition, and therefore you will find it in what, 5, 6 of those 24 reports, I think. You could do it on that. That's fine. At the end, but make sure it's substantial enough. And in fact, the person that came up with the strawberry almond milk finished second. And the reason this person finished second, because everybody got it and everybody thought it made sense. But they didn't finish first because he was a little olive, a little side dish. And that's why Tigran killed the almond, the strawberry almond, because he came with a freaking idea. Everybody went, are you kidding me? It was maybe not as simple, as clear, but it was a big thing. So people gave him the points for the big thing. So you have to be careful that you don't want to go too small, but I will be there to steer. You're not alone, right? That's where I come as the experienced consultant to tell you, that's too little, that's too big. What you want to do is make a list, the biggest list you can, based on what's in the report or what's not in the report. You can keep going. Okay, Carlo, you have another question. I don't want you to forget. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you just answered it. So if we don't see an idea or opportunity that we like, because there were some things that I thought about after the fact I wrote it. So I was like, I know what, I wish I could have put that in, but the work's already been done. Can we also include that too?
Of course. Like I said, you see the food truck, I thought of it a week ago. It's like, and it makes sense. I can see why it would make sense. They could be better ideas, but so that's why it's fun, is because you have until now and the 8th of July to change your mind and pick something else. But first is look at these 24 reports, because these 24 reports are going to make your life easy. Normally, if this was a normal class, it would be 14 weeks. But even in 14 weeks, it's tough. Normally, you would have to create one of these reports, the one I was just looking at. You would have to create that. How long does it take for students in general to create that when we do 14 weeks? It takes them 6 weeks on average. And how many do they have of these? They have one. So that's why this time you have 24, and you have it from time 0. It's ready to go. So that's the beauty. So I know some of you are going to be so cursed, you're going to probably read them by tonight, by just browsing in there. And that's what you should do. So it's very important that you get in touch with your team members. It's inside the syllabus. You have their email each other, say, hi, I'm a nice person. What's your name and what you do? Where do you live? When can we meet? When can you read the report? So it's this class is not a class where you have to wait for the professor to babysit you. Is you have to take charge. You're a consultant. You take charge. It's your life, and you read those reports. You discuss it. You go, oh, what did you think of those trends? Blah 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 blah. So for next week, is I want you to be able to pitch very quickly to me. Oh, we've made a list of 16 things right now after we read this report. And out of the 16, in fact, there's 3 that we brought in as we were discussed with the team member that were not in there. And out of these, we're not going to bore you with the 16, professor. We're going to tell you about the top 4 because we really like the top 4. And maybe that's what we're going to work on. We think 1 is this, 2 is this, 3 is this, 4 is this, right? Like a Wells Fargo type of stuff, like you've seen it. And then you just tell me why and all this, and you say, and then you tell me what you're thinking of doing next for the week after, which is most likely. So the big difference that you couldn't do last time, if the students from last time have to be sort of not the teacher, but sort of the leader, at least the first week, to explain everyone what happened before. Is last time I said, do primary data collection, but it was difficult because you're learning, there was a lot going on, you had multiple classes, you were confused and all this. And at the end, you may have done some, but the reality is most people didn't do much primary. This time you will do primary data. What did I say last time? And I'm going to say it again because it's too short. You cannot do quantitative research, which means that you cannot do a survey. A survey is 100, 200, 600, thousands of people. You have no time to do 1,000 surveys. So what are we going to do? You're going to go talk to some people, to someone, and you're going to pitch them the ideas. You're going to say, what do you think of X, Y, and Z? And then you're gonna say, oh, I don't know. Then you're gonna pull it out and show it to them and say, what about this? And they're gonna say, oh, let me read it. And then they read and say, I don't understand. And then you discuss. You're gonna the difference from before you only talk about some ideas and then you try to recommend the ideas. This time you're gonna recommend the idea, but you're gonna recommend it because you've got some data and your data confirm these ideas, and you're gonna create prototypes, and you're gonna show the prototypes, and you're gonna show that box of cereal, Tigran this time, and you're gonna show the cereal, and it's gonna be the full picture. And again, going back to the question from Carlo connected to this, and now talking to Tigran. Tigran, you may do the cereal again, but you may not do the cereal again. That's also part of being a business person, is you have to be very open-minded. So obviously your cereal thing was so good that I would not be surprised if you're still doing the cereal in a way, right? But what I want you to do with your team is to say, we're going to do the best. And if the cereal is the best, we'll do the cereal. But if we find better, let's do better. And that's really what it is. And the business person is someone who is like this, is you have an ego, but your ego is in the growth, the profit, and the continuity of the business. And therefore, it's the match. So you have to do these efforts, the match. And every time, that's what is very important in business, is when you're successful, that's when you're in danger because you become comfortable. So in your situation, Tigran, you may be in danger because you're comfortable. You had the success. That was a successful idea, right? You see what I'm saying? So I'm just kind of like trying to share the how experience evolve. And that's why you see, I mean, BlackBerry, they were very comfortable. Who buys a BlackBerry phone? See what I'm saying? They became very comfortable and gone. And I would say 50% of successful companies disappear after they became successful because they become comfortable. And therefore, they're the minute you're comfortable, this is the minute where you open your eyes and you go, okay, weep, weep myself because I don't want to be comfortable. And you weep yourself. I'm not comfortable. Ah, I know it's crazy, but you have to have this mentality because if you're comfortable, the other one are not, and therefore they're going to make everything they can to take away what you have. And therefore, that's why every month the world change, and what makes you successful every month is suddenly being questioned, and therefore you move with it and you evolve with it. So this is um, this is also why it's kind of crazy. But even the work that you've done, that was 2 months ago. In 2 months, things have changed, and in 2 months they're going to change again, right? I mean, 2 months ago, people were more into because of COVID, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. Now people are starting to think COVID is gone. True or not true, that's a different question. But the reality is that the world that's coming in front of us will be different than the world that we have behind us, right? So there's going to be not as many Zoom, but many more Zooms than it used to be. That was what I was saying today. So life is changing like this. That's why you have to go back to the drawing board and look again for opportunities. And the opportunities that you get from those 24 reports are a big help, but you have to question them. And you could even do something that is not in there. And that's fine, as long as you make yourself very strong. Do you have any questions? So no questions. So how do you talk to me about this next week? I would do a PowerPoint, or it could be a Word doc, but I think a PowerPoint is better. We just quick bullet points, and that way we can all see it. You flip the screen, you show me the one page of your PowerPoint, and then you just say blah blah blah, like I just did. That way we can easily communicate. Um, all right. What? Where? Where is Rudolph? I'm just doing a little stop here. Rudolph, Amina, Elan, Sammy, and Alison. Where are they?
I'm here.
We can't see you.
I can't have my camera, sir. It doesn't work on my laptop. I told you earlier.
Also, Rudolph, it doesn't work.
No, unfortunately. But next class I'll be on my computer, so it should be
Okay.
okay.
What about Alison?
Hi. My device that I normally use didn't charge overnight, so I'm on a computer that I wouldn't normally be on. I think I have to get a new cord, but I'll have my camera on next class for sure.
Okay.
Unfortunately, same with me.
All right. All right. And so, good. So we can see Sammy. Welcome, Sammy.
Hello.
Hello. And I see Arash is here. Amina, wonderful. So we're gonna work with each other. So it's not gonna be me. I mean, I'm gonna be lecturing this week and next week, but after this, it's if I don't see you, you're not there because you're gonna be talking to me mostly, and I'm only gonna be trying to help you through the process. So that's why you have to have a camera because it's just a better way of communicating. I see that Jeff is here. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, yes, I just saw the email. So
Okay.
I saw that it's also being recorded. So will I be able to go back and watch this lecture?
Yes, you may have missed a little bit the beginning, and
Okay.
that's great. So take the time to connect with Gladys, and I think they will be able to help you join in.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Excellent. So, all right. So if there's no question, let me go back to some other things, but you can always ask me. All right. So why do you go to the university? It's not about what you learn, it's about what you become. That's, I think, very important. Is what you become. And this class, I tell you, is a lot about what you become. Is the idea is uh, it's the I'm going to try to teach you the attitude of a business person. And so therefore, you're going to learn a lot of things that you will forget. But I hope that the attitude, that the spirit is what's going to stay. So okay, let me just a second because I don't. So my email is inside the syllabus. So there's a quiz and a paper, a presentation, sorry, that is coming to class. I will go very quickly about myself so that way you know me a little bit because there's still half of the people that don't know me. So I'm from France. I grew up on the French Riviera. I grew up next to this beach in next to Saint-Tropez, Cannes, in the very south on the Mediterranean. I did. I was a professional student. I have 2 bachelor, 1 graduate diploma, 1 master, and 1 PhD. I've been a professor in multiple universities in Australia, in Europe, and in the USA. I essentially wear 3 hats. One hat is to be an instructor, which I do mostly on marketing, consumer behavior, entrepreneurship, and consulting. My other hat is a researcher. My specialty is luxury marketing and the impact of brands over luxury marketing. I'm one of the most read paper on the internet on this subject. I won a number of prizes, best published paper of the decade, best book of the year. I published in Journal of Business of Research. I've actually won a very high Google Word ranking for my research. Now, but I'm also a practitioner. I've been a practitioner for some of the biggest consulting firm, Arthur Andersen, PricewaterhouseCoopers. I've been founder and co-founder of multiple companies. I'm currently running small businesses myself. So this was the best paper of the decade. So it was during the period of 97 to 2007. It was my paper on the consumer behavior of people buying luxury, won a best out of those 10 years. I also wrote co-author in a book which is called Marketing Luxury, which was the best book in France, best business book of the year from the French Academy of Business Science. But I'm also not always in academic. I also won a number of recognitions inside newspapers. This was a newspaper in the south of west of France that was talking about my cognac business being a sort of exemplary and how I was running it. This is actually a bottle of my cognac that I found this week that is for sale. So my company is 200 years old. And I found this bottle on the internet in a website, which is auctioned right now for $10,000. So it's an old bottle of cognac from 1828. And my company was created in 1821. And so I was thinking maybe I should buy it, but $10,000, ooh, that's a steep amount of money for one bottle. And so I've been running this business. I also won prizes as a teacher not too long ago, 2019, 2018. Most downloaded paper in 2018 and 2019 from Psychology and Marketing. So if I'm not trying to get a job, I'm only trying to, because I was saying in this class is essentially a consulting class where on my hat, it says senior consultant, and then on your hat, it says consultant. I'm only here to stimulate you and direct you and share my experience on how to be a consultant. And I'm just giving you some background of who is the senior consultant so you know where I'm coming from and why I give you all of these ideas. This is a picture of one of my seller in France. I bought this business in 2007 and I've been running it with my father since then. This is one of the bottle. This is another type of bottle, and this is another type of bottle. I started another business in addition, which is called Monterey, which is this time a brandy, which is also made in the same facility. And there are some of these bottles. I also do the design of the bottle myself. And the idea behind this is I like to find connection between who I am, what the product stands for, and oftentimes what I do, here's one of my most recent design. I always have designs of bottles everywhere. Different designs of different bottles. So that this is not glued, it's just sticky stuff that I move the labels, I do prototypes, I try things and all that. And when I get the design right, then I give it to a graphic designer who's going to do the finished touches. So because I know my market, I know my products, I know what the consumer wants. So for example, here, just so you know why there is this design, is because these brandy are made of a single grape varietal. And so a brandy is like a whiskey, if you want, but it's a whiskey made of wine. And so I invented this. I won top 50 innovators, I think it was in 2016, in the wine and spirit industry. And my innovation here was very well received because that was the first time that you could buy a brandy made of one grape. So each one is only one grape instead of a blend of wine that you don't know what the grape origin is. So I wanted to do this because I felt that if people drink the wine as being Sauvignon Blanc or Chardonnay or Cabernet, they would want to drink also the brandy from a single grape instead of being a random unknown grape. But then what I said is, for me, wine is earth, it's dirt, it's the region, and it's a woman. It's something that gives birth. But this woman is therefore manifested, displayed through the symbol of a personality. So each grape varietal has a personality. The Cabernet is someone that is a little bit arrogant and audacious, versus the Chardonnay it's a woman that is more suave and smooth and saying, come over here, look at me. And the Folle Blanche is more of a grape that is very light and crisp. So then these women, their expression was expressing the grapes. So I tell you this because that's what you're going to do in this class. Is you're going to say, hey, we want Califia Farm, who's the client, to do this. What is this? Materialize this. Create this. So then you say, but we are not designers. I could never do this. Look, I'm not Superman. I cannot do very much myself, but I just do it. You just do what you got to do. And what you do is you find the words, then do the design, then the design give you more words that you repeat the design. What happens is, as a business person, you need to not to say finance is for finance people. Design is for design people. Marketing is for marketing people, and management is for management people. If you own a business, you need to be able to understand everything. You may not be the best or the expert at everything. You may be the person that just collaborates and put together those different expertise, but you need to know a minimum in order to know what these experts are doing. Because from my experience, experts are not always the people that you should trust. Sometimes experts becomes very comfortable, and then they've acquired this reputation of being an expert, and they sit on it, and eventually they're not experts anymore. And then everybody keeps thinking they are experts because everybody says they're expert, but they're not anymore, and they are just faking their way. So it's always good to know and keep learning and know about a little bit, at least, of everything in order to get things going. So learning about design is good. Learning about production is good. That's what a business person needs to know. Learning about communication is good. So these are also different products. I don't want to present too much time. These are different things. And this is yesterday. This is my last rendition of yesterday. I'm working with the most famous restaurant bar in Cognac, which is called Le Garage, the Garage. And it's an old garage from 100 years and 120 years ago. And so we're doing a collaboration. So it's called Commandant X Le Garage, like they do in design, right? Or singers do that. And so we're doing this collaboration, and this is the last rendition of the bottle as of yesterday. We're working on the design using the concept of the front of their bar restaurants, and it's to celebrate the 128 years of that storefront. Here's another bottle that I did. It was a mix of a Japanese product and a French product. Long story short is there was values from both, from Japan and from France. So I designed this product, which sort of combines some French elements, some Japanese elements, and put it together and all of this. And it's called Ippon. Ippon, the brand is Montero, but the model is called Ippon because Ippon in Japanese means the perfect gesture, the perfect move, the perfect score. If you do judo, for example, or martial arts, when you win, when you knock out the other guy, they go Hippon, means you got it. So that's how we call it. We Hippon that product. I've been working with a number of celebrities because they love their cognac. So Lil Wayne, but so many, The Game, and so many of these people that you have here. Fat Joe, Fabulous, Neo, Rick Ross, T-Pain, Trey Songz, Nicki Minaj, Drake. So this is different events that these were my Cognac Commandant girls at the event. So that's promotion. So I do understand the concept of promotion. I do understand social media. I'm definitely not an expert in social media, but I'm understanding it. I'm keeping up with it. It's moving really fast, obviously, social media in the world of promotions. So this was the Billboard Awards. I was one of the main sponsors 1 year, and so many other things. I also, my family runs a watch company in Switzerland, so I help with that as well. So this is all about enough about me, I suppose. This was just to share, so that way you see that my journey that I'm going to try to share with you and my experiences comes from all of this. Yes, Carlo, you have a question?
Here's some free consulting advice. What do you were talking about NFTs in the music business, moving towards NFTs?
Yes.
What do you think about being the first cognac company that accepts cryptocurrency as payment?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, NFTs and cryptocurrencies in the same.
Yeah.
So a lot of companies right now, I mean, Coinbase did an IPO and now they're promoting cryptocurrency and it's huge. They've actually solidified it as a main currency, or they're attempting to create it. But a lot of companies right now are trying to create transaction-based points so that people can go ahead and use their cryptocurrency to purchase, like Tesla. You could purchase Dodge. You could purchase a Tesla with Dogecoin. Of course, it's not the most practical way, but it's starting to develop. And I think into about 10 years, it's going to be a point of purchase or a currency of purchase.
Well, it's possible, but the reality is that 2.5% of people owns 100. It's like 95% of Bitcoin are owned by 2.5% people.
But it started about 20 years ago. It didn't have any value. Then it's moved up to about, I think it's in the 30 range or 40 range. So it's growing. The popularity is growing. It's just that I don't think it's a trend. I think that
you didn't understand what I was saying is that there's like few people that own most of the Bitcoin. So
Mhm.
people buy Bitcoin, they buy a few, almost a quarter of the Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin, 3 Bitcoin. But out of those millions of Bitcoin, there's just a few people that own them, which means, and that's what's very tough in business. In business, most things are rigged, which means that if something works very well and it was created by little people, very quickly the big people take over to either make it disappear or to control it, but to hide themselves in the back. And so the Bitcoin is exactly the same, which means it's the same with Wall Street, where in fact you have lots of people that are able to play, but you have a few people that really control everything. So if they want Bitcoin to go up, these 2.5% people, they can make it go up. If these 2.5% want to make it go down, they make it go down. The other 97.5% people, they are just bandwagon to that. They just follow. So what I don't like about this is it's essentially like walking on eggs. I'm not one of the 2.5%. So therefore, if I play with Bitcoin, I have to play knowing that it's essentially just rigged and it's manipulated by this 2.5. So therefore, I'm going to buy, or sell, and make a few here, a few there. I mean, I can't complain. I benefited from Bitcoin indirectly myself. I was selling 20 classic cars, and I've decided to reduce down to 2 or 3 classic cars this year. And the other day, I put one on Craigslist, and someone contact me from, I put it on Craigslist for a very high price, 50% more than what it was worth. I didn't get anybody. And suddenly there's one guy that came and he bought it, and he bought it at the maximum price without negotiating. Eventually I asked this person why. He says because he bought 6 Bitcoin when they were worth $1, and that exact car was his dream. So essentially he gave me half a Bitcoin to pay the car. And I was like, great. So very lucky. But this guy knew that this money was money that was just crazy money. And he was lucky to have made this. So all of this it's a lot of, guess. It's not regulated. It's kind of like the Wild West. It's grab what you can. It's opportunism and predation and opportunism. And one time left, one time right, one time this. It's not real. And eventually it's some people are going to be at the right time, the right place, and make some crazy amount of money. And some people are going to be losing because they came at the wrong time of the wrong place, because there's no substance. It's virtual. It goes with the e-cigarette. That's not an e-cigarette. It goes with the people are going to want e-girls and e-boys and e-life and e. At the end, all of this is virtual, and there will be a time where everybody's going to pay to get real. It's like now you have to pay more to get a manual gear shift in a car. Before, that was the only way, and you paid more to get an automatic. So life is like this. It's a cycle. Is when you're a business person, tell them that what they have is not good. Tell them that what you have is better. True or not true, it doesn't matter, as long as they believe it's true. And then you just shift. And later on, you give them what they used to have for free, and you make them pay. And that's when you make the most money. Make them pay for what they used to get for free. And get it right now while it's free. Get some stock of that, and then make them pay for it. Then you get a big profit, and then that's what it is. So I I felt like an old fart telling you that be careful of all of this e-money and all this, because I felt like an old fart. But the reality is, I feel like you should not be scared. You should just be very cautious, and you should be very skeptical, because it's controlled, like most of the things, by people that know what they're doing, while we don't know what is going on. We don't know. And the people that tell you that they know, they don't know. The one that know, they don't talk. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot like people talking about the COVID. If you take your YouTube and pick a video from the news from a year ago and see what they were saying, and then you look at this and you go, wow, this was nonsense. And then you have to think about, could today what they say make sense if what they said a year ago made no sense? No, they keep on going. They just have to say something because they're called news media. So they have to say something. They sell news, real news or fake news, it doesn't matter. They sell news. And then it keeps on rolling. The news are very interesting. The news is a supermarket. Do you know when you go to the restaurants, where does the food come from? From a farm? No. Most of the food comes from Cisco distribution. So most of the food we get is from Cisco. The same. The news, 99% of the news come from two companies. 99% of the news come from two companies. What are the companies? Do you know? Anyone knows the two companies that supply news? See, when you go to the supermarket and you go to Ralph's or whatever, most of the stuff comes from a few distributors they control. And the distribution of news is the same. There's two distributors of news. And if these two distributors, like tomorrow, if these two distributors decide to talk about Harris and Meghan, they just call each other. It says, hey, Bob, yeah, Bill, hey, tomorrow, I want you to talk about Harris. And then it says, okay, tomorrow, all the news is going to talk about Harris and Meghan Markle. They can do that, those two news. So those two news that nobody knows the two supplier of news in the world.
Someone said Viacom.
Isn't one of them Viacom?
No, well, that's the third, I think. But the biggest is Reuters. Reuter. And the second one is AFP. Reuters and AFP. That I said 99, but maybe not be 99. Maybe it's 80%. But what I'm saying, it's a big number. Maybe it's 80, maybe it's 78, maybe it's 91. It's a big number. And so those, they decide. And what everybody does, they just get the news. They have, it's like a Google. You know, we use Google. The news use AFP and Reuters. And they get dumped all the information. And then they rank the information depending on the audience and the percentage and the impact and the interest. And then these people just take them and plug them. So that's why it's very tough when you look at the news to look for real, independent, investigating news and journalists. It's very difficult. Like you get a bachelor of journalism, you're full of energy. I'm going to save the world. I'm going to change the world. Then you get a job, and then your boss goes, "Okay, what is Reuters and AFP says today?" And you go, "No, no, no. I'm doing some research now. Don't waste your time. Just pick up." And then you get 2 kids, 3 kids, baseball bat on weekend, a wife, and a new wall to paint, and some hole in the roof. And you're busy. And what you do is you take Reuters and AFP. You just simplify your life. So that's what these people do. So this is the world I'm going to drag you in. So as a consultant, I want you to, most consultants that I know, And even the good one are horrible when it comes to running their own company. When you're a consultant, you're a little bit like a professor. You talk, 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 but you don't do that much. You know, it will be like someone telling you how to fly a plane. And they will tell you this. See, look, for example, on the other side here, on my desk, I have this manual. It's hard to see, but I have a manual here. It's a manual that talks about fuel pumps. Imagine the person that writes a manual on how to fix a fuel pump on a 1950 Bentley, but he actually never fixed it. All he knows is virtually how you do it. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you talk to a mechanic that's been doing it for 20 years. If you talk to these two people, you get two different versions, because there's the one doing it, and then there's the one sort of in a lab thinking about it, visualizing it. So consultants, sometimes they're really bad because they don't understand the implementation part. So I'm going to try to talk to you about entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurs, they have to know this. So some of the business that I worked on is Hardcore, The Forbidden Band, and Madus. Madus was a band singing. The Forbidden Band was a famous composer, and Hardcore was a new band being created. So I work with companies that are sometimes music artists. A project that I worked with was Beats by Dre. So I worked with my students on Beats by Dre. Oh, when was that? I think that was in 2011. Uh, Beats at the time had less than 10 employees. Nobody knew them. The students couldn't believe that because I ran into people in the cognac business, and I was able to connect with Dre, and Dre eventually told me, oh, why don't you work on this Beats by Dre thing? And so that's how I work with that. And then they became very big, and we gave them some suggestions. It was kind of strange because they were doing so well that the suggestion we were giving them, they had so many opportunities, they kept on growing and whatever. We did JD Power as well as a company. So it was kind of interesting because we did JD Power, who is a consulting company for consumers. So we did it with the students, and they hired 2 students to become high-ranking executives. And now we're doing Califia Farms in this class. So Califia Farms, I reviewed some of the potential directions you could go, and through these are mostly creating new products. So to work on the mini quiz there's no textbook. It's essentially just this lecture. So I emailed it to you, so you have access. Jeff, I didn't email it to you, so you just have to wait, because you were not, I mean, I coached you just at 9 o'clock today, right? So it was very tight to get everything organized, but you will get that. So Amazon books on entrepreneurship, skyrocketing sales on books on entrepreneurship. The programs on entrepreneurship in schools is skyrocketing, so people are very interested in that. The idea of entrepreneurship is the process where individuals pursue opportunities with regard to the resources that they have. Or it's the art of turning an idea into a business. Or it's understanding the resources, meaning the money, the people, the business, the strategy, to transform an invention or an idea into a viable business. Here's the problem. When this weekend, the New York Times had a special dossier inside on entrepreneurship and how to become an entrepreneur. And they've created a beautiful 2-page on the steps to follow. Step 1, step 2, step 3, very well designed. And step 1 is develop your ID. And I'm not agreeing with this, is you have to be very careful of your IDs. IDs are good, but I like the word opportunity much better. An opportunity is something that you can measure. An opportunity is something that exists. An opportunity supports IDs. So in reality, I'm being practical. I'm not being a professor or a consultant. A practical is start with IDs, because everybody starts with IDs. The minute you have ideas, identify opportunities supporting your ideas. And now you can talk about your ideas and how they are supported by opportunities. But what most people do is they have an idea, they feel comfortable with their idea, they think everybody agree with their idea, and then they later on discover that it doesn't hold. Okay, so entrepreneurs are not just people that are passionate. It helps if you're passionate. They are focused on the customers more than the product. They have tenacity because there's a lot of failures, and they think about execution, but they also have curiosity, ambition, and drive. So, um, what entrepreneurial skills do you think beside this? What do you think are the key entrepreneurial skills that someone needs to have to be a good entrepreneur?
Risk
Excellent
taker.
work.
The what?
You go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say a risk taker,
Risk taker.
like a calculated risk taker. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for correcting. Yes, because risk taker, you can be someone who's risk averse and very successful. So, there's been a lot of research about this because people were saying, oh, you're born an entrepreneur. And part of this is, do you like risk or you don't like risks? If you like risk, you can be an entrepreneur. If you don't like risk, you should not be an entrepreneur. And then they did some research and finding all of these people that we all think are wonderful. And they found there was a lot of risk averse in that. So then they said, therefore, it's not true. You can be risk averse and very successful. So what they found is the way they go about risk is some people are risk taking, but they don't jump on it. They analyze the risk, they measure the risk, and then they are not scared of the fact that there is a risk. There's always a risk. There's always a risk that someone says no. But if you don't do anything, you're never going to have a chance to hear yes. So it's calculated risk, very important. And in business, how do you calculate the risk? You calculate the risk by looking at the uh, looking at the opportunity again, by getting some data to reinforce your assumptions. So someone else wanted to add something.
I was going to say work ethic, someone who is incredibly driven to complete the goal.
So yeah, so driven is ambition, driven, focused. But then you also talk about work ethic. Yeah, I think work ethic is very, very important. Um, you see, a lot of people think that they can succeed because they're intelligent, but they don't realize that also success comes from doing what you say. So you say, you know what? I have a hard time waking up on Thursday morning for the 9 o'clock consulting class for Califia Farms. That's probably because I go to bed too late. When do I go to bed? Sometime at 12, sometime at 1 a.m. That's too late. The reason I have a hard time waking up is because I go to bed too late. So tonight, I will go to bed early. And then they go to bed late. And then they go to bed late. It takes ethics to trick your brain to say, no, I'm looking at my clock. It's 10 o'clock. I'm going to pretend it's 11, and therefore I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to trick myself. So I'm going to go, hey, Frank, it's time to go to bed. It's 10 o'clock. No, it's 9. No, I'm telling you it's 10. No, it's 9. No, I'm telling you it's 10. Okay, I go to bed. And you go to bed. And so you have to have this ethics of doing what you say. A lot of the time, people just think about something, but they don't actually do it. Yes, Mariam, you had a question.
No question. I just wanted to add that it's
Yeah.
important to be able to think outside of the box too, or having strategic thinking skills.
Yes,
Because
yes.
an entrepreneur has to like be able to think of the next thing that's going to beat everyone's idea or opportunities that are outside of the box.
Yes. Thank you, Mariam. And I jump on this, that I call the right attitude on the orange one, the one in the middle, that essentially says what you're just saying, which is to get something you never had, you need to do something you never did. And so what it is that a lot of people expect something different. But when they see something different, they go, boo, it's different. And then they start using it. And then this becomes the norm. And then they don't think any different. And they get adjusted. And then, therefore, when you are in business, you have to say, we found something better for people. They may not recognize it's better for them, but we know it's better for them when we have really a conversation, a fair, honest conversation. They all agree it's better. So it's our job to help lead these people to better and to not be scared of being different and thinking outside the box, like you said. Exactly. Yes, Carlo.
I was going to add an indomitable spirit. Sometimes when you have an idea, people don't see that vision, even though you've put it together in a methodical manner that is understandable. But sometimes people don't see it, and you think that after all the research and all the tireless time that you put into this project, you still believe that this could be an opportunity that should be implemented, and you just got to push for it and push for it. And then at some point, it'll end up blossoming into a project that other people said it should never have even gone off the ground.
Oh yeah.
I guess an example I would probably have would be Elon Musk and his SpaceX. This privatizing of space exploration. I think about it today. I'm like, how did he have a vision that was going to be something big? I guess 20 years from now. So I guess having a indomitable spirit would be probably one of the key points in being an entrepreneur that I think is important.
Yeah, so it's very important to, and I think that's what I have here is every failed experiment is one step closer to success. So therefore, if you don't, is you have to listen to people, but you can't be influenced by what everybody says, because otherwise you lose yourself in listening to all these different opinions. Again, these are opinions. At the end of the day, these people are not doing it. So they're only saying what they think. And it's easier to say something and to be negative than it is for someone to take it and make it better so that way it comes to fruition. So you have to think about when you have a business that most people say, I have a business because I want to be successful. I'm not successful, I stop the business. But what happens is it's an experiment. And so therefore experiments are not always successful. And therefore you have to start with failures. And that's my last one, is you have to learn how to fail, because failing is part of the process to go towards success. Because you make incremental changes, you make adjustments, and these adjustments helps you to get to the successes. So people see and reflect their failures on themselves. If I failed, it's because I'm a loser. No, is you failed because that's a message for you to make it better. It's a little bit, medicine sometimes is very interesting. Is if you have some pain or if you have some problem, that's usually not the problem. That's usually the message to tell you that there's a problem to come. And so it's a little bit the same with businesses, is if you see things don't work out, that means there's an adjustment that is needed. It doesn't mean you should stop. So if you start a business, you don't stop. You just make adjustments. And therefore, there's no failures, there's just adjustments. It's like if you buy a car and your car does not work, it stopped. If you buy a Rolls-Royce or a Bentley, it failed to proceed. That's what they say in the manual. Your car failed to proceed. So it's not that it's not working. It just failed to proceed. There's just something you need to do in order for the car to keep going. You don't trash it. You just adjust it. And so it's this mentality in business you need to have is therefore you started your business, this is never going to stop until you are there to make the adjustments so it keeps on going and reach the objectives. Yes, Arash, you had something to say.
Yeah, to follow up on what Carlos said, I also believe that a part of being an entrepreneur is sort of being blindly optimistic at times. So understanding that like there's hardships throughout the way and the chances of success is incredibly low, but at the same time you just continue and you're sort of blindly optimistic that this is gonna work out just because you're doing it or just because you understand the impact that this could possibly make. So really going against the crowd and just, you know, closing your eyes on some facts that might be really against you, at least majority of the times, I feel like it's a huge part of running any business or idea or anything like that.
Yes, but you see, the issue I have with what you're saying is I'm afraid of people who are stubborn. And this blind optimism is more being stubborn, or maybe it's to protect someone's ego. When you are sort of not listening to people because you have this stubbornness or this ego, it's not good. You know, there's some people I see sometimes, they want to hear everybody because they feel it's more and more and more and more data. So they keep listening and listening and they listen so much that at the end they lose themselves. And then you have the people that don't want to listen to anyone. I think these two extremes are very bad. I think what it is that you have to listen, but not so much listen to take their opinion and implement it, is listen to have this opinion so it goes into a data. You know, sometimes you do, you fill in survey. You know, you buy a plane ticket, you got your plane ticket. 2 hours after, you get an email from Delta Airlines saying, oh, you just bought a ticket. We would like to know your experience with the purchase of this ticket. And then you do this survey. And inside the survey, you see that what you respond really is not going to have a big impact because they send this survey to 100,000 people. So even if you put terrible or don't agree, do not agree or whatever on all of them, you put 0 on everything, it's not going to really do anything to them because it's thousands of people. So when you listen to people, is you have to listen to them as one opinion that you got, and this is one opinion out of 1,000 people. Doesn't mean it's representative. But what's interesting, and I've experienced that many, many, many times, is sometimes there's some people that you want to listen their opinion. Some people because they know you very well, so it's like a family member that has some experience and know you very well, and they know the situation, and in that situation they could give you an advice that is worth, like if it was thousands of people, or it's someone who has a lot of expertise, and not expertise, you know, media reputation expertise, but true expertise of something that they do every day and they know it. It's not back in the 60s I used to do X, Y, and Z. It's like as of this morning. And that these people are very good advices, and it's really worth listening to them because they will help you. And they sometimes these people become mentors. And mentors' expertise and advice, that's very helpful. But you have to pick your mentors. You can't have too many mentors. Any other comments? All right, so what is marketing? Marketing is the delivery of customer satisfaction at profit and long term. So why am I saying this? Because I want to go back to what I think is essential for business is that you are not working for yourself, you working for customers. And what you do for the customers is you make sure they're satisfied. That's it. Business is making sure that you have someone that you are satisfying and you know who they are. Most businesses, when you ask them, who's your target? They don't know. They just don't know. So can you create needs? Can you make people buy things?
Are you looking for an answer?
Yes, I was asking you, what do you think?
You just answered it. Yes.
So you can make people buy things, but can you create needs?
Sure. So you create a scare tactic that'll create a need. People want to purchase because they're afraid of they might lose something, or they might not have they might miss out on an opportunity. It just depends on how you frame it.
Exactly. So your answer, Carlo, is correct because it has to do with the definition of needs. It depends how you define needs. Needs, from a Maslow perspective of needs, the need to drink, the need to breathe, the need to have friends, the need to feel good about yourself. You can't create these needs. So human beings have needs. Therefore, you don't create needs, you create things to satisfy their needs. However, can you create situation where people feel like they need things? Yes, and exactly like you said, by by creating a sensation of a void, by creating fear, by creating argument, showing extra benefits, or comparing what they have with what they could have, with a discrepancy. You can create situation where people may feel that they need things, but it's again related to those things. So when you're in business, you are in the business of things that satisfy people existing needs, and you are in a business of making them feel that they need it, that they need you more than anyone else. So I have this picture because I think this is sort of the way I believe business is about. Business is about leadership, taking charge. Business is about saying there's lots of people, and not everyone is a specialist. Some people have to take charge and saying, I will create this new, better thing, and I will do it either maybe to get rich, or because I want people to get something better, or because I want to improve the environment. I want to improve the world that we live in, and I want to lead people path. So that is what it is. You can always think about, um, there's so many things around us. You buy trash bags. The other day I bought trash bags, and I found that they were scented trash bags. Wow, someone thought about this. But then, are they what are the scents? Is there a different scent for men and women? Are they different? Could be. Are there different color of bags, or texture of bags? And therefore, it's a huge market that you can go after, improving people perception of trash bags. The way they open, the way they close, the way they pack, so many different things. The way you store them, right? And so um, everything can be improved, but you improve them based on an opportunity, that there's a need, that there is a satisfaction, superior satisfaction that you're going to create. So you articulate them looking at the consumers. The consumers are not all the same. There's differences between consumers. Very difficult to make one product that works for everyone. Products are all being made by competitors, and every competitor is trying to focus on their target. So marketing is very powerful. The idea behind marketing is to um, is to use this power by understanding people needs, wants, and demands. The needs are therefore physical, individual, social. The wants are therefore the manifestation of these needs, and the demand is, can you afford them? So as a business person, then you look at your market and you say, what space do we have in the market that we can take advantage of? And that space has to be in your external environment, looking at the opportunities and the threats. So you look at your competitors. What competitors do we have? Who are the customers? Trying to identify some opportunities. Where do you look for opportunities and threats? In your environment. What's inside your environment? You have the micro and macro environment. Okay, so this, I suppose everybody studied this. I hope you all did. It's a necessity. When you studied it, maybe you didn't realize, but it's something that you study not just so you can take a quiz in whatever the class you took, but it's because it's where you look for information in order to make decision as a business person. The micro environment, MICRO environment, is the gray. The macro environment, MACRO, is the red. The micro is the one that is directly in the center, in direct connection with your customers. The macro is the one that indirectly affects your customers and your company. So what are the analyses that you do is you do the PESON analysis, and within the PESON, you use the PESON in order to do your SWOT. So the PEST or the PESTON analysis is political, economical, social, and technological. Is you look at what are the changes, what are the trends, what are the movements going on in these, and then these go inside your opportunity and threats. You also do the internal analysis, which will be your strengths and your weaknesses. So these are extremely well explained in the 24 reports. Once you look at the 24 reports, when you come back next week, when we discuss these, they will be very, very, very clear, if they were not before. So crux, what was the opportunity? People looking for comfort, value, and some alternative to flip-flops. What are the strengths? Is they're easy to make in one piece, they're comfortable, they have no odor, they are good for traction, easy to make, durable, and essentially you can have a product with different colors, different designs, and so forth. Very successful, very quickly because of these advantages. The lawn mower, these are products that are sold for men. Men wearing facial hair has been growing, and men looking for options to trim better is growing. Men trimming their facial hair and other areas is growing, and therefore these men are looking for better accessories than the one that they've been used to. So that's an opportunity. Then companies come with all kinds of solutions in order to go after this particular opportunity. What I would like to do now is just take a break because it's been a little while. So let's take, I see it's 10:44, so I'll see you back at 11. We can take 16 minutes till 11, and then we'll resume, go back to the class, okay? Businesses adjusting to the changes and opportunities. So we know that this is important, and essentially that's what you're going to do, is identify those opportunities, adjust, and then really work on the implementation. So you will not find enough inside the report, because otherwise you may say, oh, 24 reports. What if we do a compilation of those 24 reports? Is that good enough? Well, that's good for now, but it's not good enough to complete the entire project. What's missing are the implementation. So then, what do you mean by the implementation? Again, if you go in Canvas, you will see inside the file section is I put sample reports. And inside the sample reports, you will find a number of presentations which go and make implementation of the basic SWOT and strategy analysis. So here's another example of a plan that was created by my class that was working on how to run a innovative business which would have to do with music. And so they created this business, which name they invented called Vinylist. And Vinylist is this company that creates vinyl discs on demand. So the way it works is that people go online or through the app, and then they select artists and songs that they like. And eventually, as they start making their own compilation, these compilations start being posted, and then people vote for the best compilations of mixed artists. And eventually, the compilation that gets the highest vote gets to be virtually created as a possible disc to buy. And then people virtually, not so much virtually, but they pre-order those vinyl. And once there's a certain number of pre-orders having been made, then the vinyl disc gets produced. The idea here is to use the people-to-people technology that is available now, and the fact that people are looking to buy vinyl discs, which is growing. That's the two opportunities, and the fact that they are more and more involved in what's the word they used? I forgot. Yeah, I forgot the name they use. They have a special name where pledging. Yeah, they're using the pledging of people in order to create the vinyl. And therefore they know that the vinyl is already sold because there's a minimum pre-order of the vinyl discs. So eventually it gets to be made. So there's no reason to fear any loss because the people know that they're pledging and pre-ordering what they really want. It's not 100% sure that this will be produced. It all depends on how many people are pledging it. And eventually it would be made at a price that they know in advance, because once the number of pledge and pre-order is made, then they know what would be the price. Yes, Jeff?
How does said company Vinylist acquire the publishing rights for the artists? Is this just a made-up scenario, or this is a real company?
No, this was a made-up scenario by the students. So then they actually went into the legal issues in acquiring. So they have to buy the royalties from the artist. So they buy. So in the price of the vinyl disc is including the copyrights for each artist.
Okay.
So there was some legal issues because the copyright for music is very complicated, and the licensing and all this is extremely complicated. And so there were a number of artists where you could do that, and there were some artists where you could not do that. And so there was the independent one, you could do that, and then the one that belonged to large labels, some you could and some you could not. I mean, it would not be 100% of the artists. It would be just the one that they could fit within the system to start with. But then I think this has not been launched. It doesn't exist. It was a project. But I think if this was launched, eventually, if this becomes successful, I think that the company, which would not belong to the system, eventually would start thinking about ways that they would want to belong to it, because nobody wants to be ignored. If something starts becoming successful, and if there's legal difficulties, eventually money follow the money. People follow the money, and they would find ways to go around it. But it has not been launched. But I think it was a great idea because they at least really explain very well the processes of why there is a need for this business and what are the opportunities that would support this need. And that's what I wanted to address. Then the legal aspects, where that was the most complicated and unsure elements beside that. So thank you for your question. So what business has affected you in the last few days? Do you have any example where you would say, oh, that was the opportunity that they went after, and that's amazing? I have one. I'll start. I just heard on TV a business that was offering to buy your life insurance. They were buying life insurances, and you called a 1-800 number, and they would buy your life insurance. So my wife was like, why would someone want to buy someone's life insurance? And the reason is that we live in a world where there's some people that believe in statistics and some people that don't understand statistics. And if they are, and there are some company that understand very well statistics, so well that pretty much everything is about statistics, like an insurance company. So what they know is they know that when you get to a certain age and you have a certain profile and you have a life insurance, you're most likely to die, and the insurance company is going to have to pay a lot of money. So in these cases, what they do is they target these people and they buy their life insurances back before there is a chance that these people actually die and they have to pay a big amount of money. So let's say you're someone who has a lot of responsibility and you work for a big company and you have a high paying jobs and you're like 48 and they don't want to take a risk, and your big company pays for a life insurance, but in fact you're in pretty good shape, but now you're 68, it's been 20 years and you still have 10 years of life insurance or whatever. Maybe they don't want to take a risk, because if you were to die, this person was to die, they would own several $1,000,000. So what they do is they buy it for $50,000 today and they reduce the risks. And it's very calculated. It's all probability based on some characteristics that they have a secret algorithm that they compute and they find out. So there are businesses like that. The opportunity is understanding statistics, understanding death and mortality, and that's very, very important. What other business have you seen? Yes, go ahead, Carlo.
I was just thinking, for that business, the company that probably doesn't even invest its own money probably gets lenders to invest and gives the lenders an interest on their investment.
Oh yes, you're right. The financing behind that, I mean, the conflict of interest behind that and the way it's being financed, it's got to be something else. I mean, there's some I would love to meet the people that are behind these businesses, because I wouldn't want to be friends.
Field trip to the retirement home.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's terrible.
It's this. I would meet them just to have a conversation, just to have met those kind of minds. You know, it's like, wow, brilliant, but you very dark way of looking at life, but very creative, and yeah, very merchant. Like usually you meet these people and they're very practical people. When they speak, very short sentences. When they email, very short sentences. If you meet them is to play golf. After golf, there's another thing, and they have nothing to say. Is their life is very regimented. Not very, oftentimes not very, I would say, warm people. A little bit cold, blank type of people. But there's everything in this
business
world
to get into. I have a product. I have a laptop, and I started noticing that when I was doing editing or any type of program that required, or even YouTube, my laptop would overheat. So I went on Amazon and I found a stand that has cooler fans that cools down my laptop, and it plugs into the USB drive. So every time I turn on the laptop, the fans kick on and the processor doesn't overheat anymore. So I was like, well, there was some, and I was so impressed that there was actually a product that actually fulfilled the needs exactly the what I needed it. So now my laptop performs better than it should, or than it did.
So it's funny you said that, because during the break, I went to get an ice pack. So you see, once people start to take ice packs, it's time to buy one of these fan. So someone was tired of the ice getting the ice pack. He created the fan, and that's the world we live in. And thank you for sharing with us, because that's exactly what we're talking about. Business people are here to take pain away, solve problems. You see, Apple should have a very nice Apple and not very old, and so Apple should be saying selling these things. You know, I don't even know if they do.
Actually,
Maybe
they do. They do. It's there's a tower, but it's a $5,000 computer, and it can be more expensive, of course. But it has a liquid cooler, like a radiator in a car, that cools down the CPU or the graphics cards. Gamers know all about it. It's like a radiator that connects to these fans, and they literally plug like radiator fluid in towards the CPU and towards the processor to cool it down, so that the computer doesn't slow down, because that's what slows it down, is the heat that it generates.
Yeah, yes, of course. Yes. Yeah, interesting. Any other recent thing that you run into? So my recommendation to you is be aware of your surroundings and the things that you see. If you haven't done it before, start doing it now. That's part of being a business person, is constantly looking at what other people do and how they think. So planning is complicated. There's lots of things to take into consideration. A business plan is what everybody talks about. What is a business plan? Anyone knows? Does it exist in itself? Or is it the combination of multiple existing plans?
It's a combination of different things. It's the direction that you want your business to go towards. It's what you want to achieve. It's how you're going to achieve it, how you're going to get the financing, the location, your demographic, who you want to sell to. It's everything having to incorporate your business. And you usually would use a business plan to probably try to get some financing to start the business.
That's right. So business plans are very much used in order to get to, one, prepare, to know, to be sure that you have sort of imagined all the things that could need to be done, and when they need to be done. Two, to get partners. Three, to get investors, and financing, or a loan, a bank loan, or whatever. So you do that. But what happens is a business plan in itself does not exist. What exists is an operation plan, which is one part of your business plan. A marketing plan exists, and it's one part. So the business plan is the name for a combination of plans that exist. If you have a major in finance, you do a finance plan. And your finance plan is something that exists, and it's going to go into something that does not exist in itself, which is a combination, which is called the business plan. So business plan is not a one thing. People say, what is your business plan? That's an abuse of the term. There's no such a thing as what's your business plan. What they mean is, what is your strategy, maybe, when they say, what's your business plan? What they mean is, what is your business model, is the format, the process that you're going to use. So most people, when they say, what is your business plan, is they misinterpret, misuse the term, and thinking about something else. A business plan is a plan that has multiple existing plans inside. So I want to say that because it's very rare that I run into someone that, if a business person even, and ask them, define what is a business plan, very rarely they know. In fact, even professors, business professors, most of the time don't know what are business plans. And so who knows what are business plans? Well, there's some people obviously that know what they are, but a lot of people write something that is not a business plan. It's just a summary of a bunch of things that they want to do. So should everyone have a business plan?
Yes.
Yes, everybody should have a business plan. Now, should everyone have 100 pages business plan? Maybe not. Should you have a business plan that is just 2, 3 pages? Yes. The idea is that it's like having a business. It starts with something. What's important is to start. What's important is to understand that the start is just the beginning. It's not the end, and it's just this constant adjustment of what you've started. So you've started a business plan, which has a little bit of legal, a little bit of accounting, a little bit of HR, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of management. Fine, it started. But you are at least the person that is graduating in business, who is a business student, who is a business professional, should know that business plan don't exist. They exist obviously, but they don't. There is not. It's a combination of existing plans that gives it the overall name of business plan because it's broader. A marketing plan is a specific element of a business plan. So a great challenge of life is knowing enough to think you're right, but not know enough to know that you are wrong. And so by the end of this class, I hope that if you hear my name, you will have a smile in your face and saying, you know what, that's what I learned from this professor. Is I think I'm right, but essentially I know enough to know that I may be not right because there's always more than what I've been told or what I think is true. Okay, so there's so many things to believe. There's one thing that I want you to believe is the only one person who is right is the customer. But the truth is even the customer is not always right. But if you are to say who is most of the time right, the customer. Is there anyone that is always right? Never. The customer make mistakes. Customers don't always know what they want. All right. So now let me drag you in my world, and I don't want you to see what I'm going to tell you as being coming from someone who's conniving or manipulative or a bad person. It's just I want you to understand business, sometimes what you have to do and what is oftentimes done. So first, people change. People change because their world change and they're different. So it's like Bob is now married, he drives a motorcycle. Then he gets married, he sells the motorcycle, buys a car. He buys a little Subaru with a four-wheel drive, bi-turbo, a very loud exhaust. Then his wife gets pregnant. Now he sells the Subaru to buy a sedan. Now he finds out that his wife is pregnant again, but they are twins. Then he rushes to the dealer and he buys a van. Bob, if you asked him 5 years earlier if he would ever have a van, he would say, I will never have a van. Why? Because a van is not for the guys like me. So things change. And because life change, situation change, and all of this. So what's important, why do I say that? Is therefore, when you are a business person, the number one thing is the customer. And what do the customer want? Look for trends. Look for things that they want. If they want a plant-based meat and that they feel that plant-based meat is better than meat, give them plant-based meat, right? But do it in an ethical way. Don't do it in a way that you tell them it's better for you or because it's going to make you live longer and have a better immunity or something like that, if it's not true. I'm not saying lying, but give people what they want, but make sure that you know exactly what they want. Why do they want it? And then try to make it better than what even they wanted, but don't over satisfy them. So I'll get to that later. These are breakfast cereal. So many breakfast cereal. Imagine you go into breakfast cereals. What would you do? Well, the breakfast cereal has to do with the color, has to do with the name, it has to do with the little icon and cartoon, it has to do with the amount of colors, it has to do with the shape of the cereal, it has to do with so many things. Do people buy nutrition? They should, but they don't. They don't buy nutrition. I mean, if you were selling nutrition, the packaging will not look like that. So they sell perception. Perceptions, unfortunately, people buy with their eyes. People buy with their belief. So sell to their belief. Pick one. which one would you pick? The 1999 clearance or the 69.99 product?
The cheaper, the better.
The cheaper, the better. Exactly. So some people are going to buy the cheapest, and some people are going to buy the most expensive. Who's right? Who's wrong? Everybody's right. Everybody's wrong. It depends. So you use subjective point of reference most of the time in order to make decisions. People think they are being more objective than they really are. People are very subjective. Business is a game, it's a process. It's a process to make money, even for non-profit organization. It's process to gain membership. It's process to gain donation. Money is all about identifying the opportunities, identifying the problems, the ideas, the needs that you're going to focus on, and then developing the most effective execution. So examples. I want to sell a car, and I want to sell, I want to sell a car and make a lot of money. So I can sell a 4-cylinder, a V4, a 6-cylinder, a V6, of an 8-cylinder, a V8. Essentially, these are the most common. I know there's 5-cylinder as well, but they're not so common. So let's say 4, 6, and 8. Now, how can I make money? Well, the money is when you sell a 4-cylinder at the price of an 8-cylinder. That's called rip-off strategy. Is people buy a 4-cylinder and they paid the price of an 8, of a more expensive engine, 2 times bigger. Yeah, but you can't do that. That's probably illegal. I hope it is. So how can you do it? Well, what you do is you create the perception. So suddenly I created an engine and I called it the Grand Master V Turbo 8. So people, when they see that, they go, wow, Grand Master V Turbo 8. That's got to be a really good V8. But it's not. It's actually a 2-cylinder. It's a 2. It's not even 4. So people buy it and they go from point A to point B, and it doesn't use that much gas, and it's pretty peppy, and I put a puncture in the muffler so it sounds loud, and they don't realize that it's just a 2-cylinder. And people are very happy. And for me, it's cheaper because 2-cylinder is 5 times cheaper than an 8. So I make lots of profit. How did people make that mistake of spending so much money for something that should have been less than a 4? Because they bought with their eyes. If you ask them, is your engine an 8-cylinder? They say yes. How do you know? Well, isn't it a Grandmaster Turbo V8? No. Read again. It's a V Grandmaster Turbo 8. Oh, what do you mean? Oh, I didn't say it's a V8 Grandmaster Turbo or a Grandmaster Turbo V8 or a V8 Master Turbo Grand. You have to give it a name. So you can call it Palace. It's an Athenian Palace by Master Super Grand Turbo XL8. And then they go, wow, that's got to be good. So they buy with the subjective vision that they have on the product. I mean, they do this all the time, you know. Vanilla, natural vanilla flavored yogurt. What is that? It's a yogurt with natural vanilla flavor. How does it taste? It tastes like vanilla. Is it vanilla? Yeah, it says it. Natural vanilla flavor. What is natural vanilla flavor? It's vanilla? No. They didn't say it was real vanilla flavor. They say it's natural. What do you mean? What I mean is they took some carrots because that's cheap, some beetroot because that's cheap, and a zest of orange, and they mix that and let it rot for 15 hours in the sun, and then that sort of tastes like vanilla, and it's natural. And then they put it in the yogurt, and now it's a natural vanilla flavor. Why did they do that? Because that's what the people understood, and it's good as vanilla, and it sure costs less than vanilla. You know how much is vanilla? Vanilla is 15 times more expensive than natural vanilla. And fake vanilla is 25 times even cheaper. But we don't want to do fake vanilla because that's probably going to give them cancer, and we sort of like people. So we give them natural vanilla flavor. Doesn't give them cancer, and they still have the vanilla, but it's not vanilla. Forget vanilla, it's too far away, it's too expensive. Oh, so can you do that? Do business do that? Business do that all the time. Do all the business do that? Yeah. Oh, okay. So, so what you're telling me is that we don't sell. We make sure that, you know what's the worst is when you make a great product and people understand not even how great it is. And I have an example, like I just show you, is when I do the Cabernet brandy, people don't realize that it's 100% Cabernet. Some people think it's a random brandy, and I took a bottle of wine of Cabernet and I put 2 drops inside, and that's why I call it it's like Cabernet wine flavored brandy. No, it's actually the real thing. It's 100% Cabernet. It's not even 99. So that's when you have a tough job. Is when you actually do something that is better than what people think it is, and therefore that's why it costs so much more money. And then they wonder why you're expensive, and then they think you're expensive because you are a money pig. But no, it's more expensive because it's better. But it takes the time for people to figure it out that it's actually the real thing and it is better. So then, what are you supposed to do? Well, eventually, that's what I may do. I may take the cheapest brandy, put 2 drops of Cabernet inside, and put Cabernet and flavored, very small brandy. So they never see the word flavored because it's written so small, and then they think it's Cabernet brandy, and that I can make cheap. And then they will say, "Oh, this is great. I love my Cabernet brandy." Yeah, but it's so fake. It's Cabernet flavored. But I get it. Businesses eventually they get frustrated. Or there's some other businesses that copy you, but by taking the shortcuts, because they know that people are not very educated, or they don't go in the details, or they just jump to conclusion. So business is a little bit like this, and you have to be very careful. Now, this is a product that is interesting. It's called 20 grand vodka, and it says infused with cognac. I didn't make it up. This is not me who doctored the label. It's a real product, and it actually does what I think, exactly what I said 20 seconds ago. What I was saying, I was going to do Cabernet flavored brandy and write flavored very small. That's what they did here. Is infused with is written extremely small. I mean, you probably can't even read it on your screen, and that makes the whole difference, because most people, I would imagine, think that this is sort of a vodka with a lot of cognac, because normally, vodka is clear. Vodka is like water. So for it to be so dark, there's got to be a lot of cognac. But the reality is they're telling people what it is. It's infused. You know what's infused? I don't even know if 1 droplet. I think infusion is probably less than 1 droplet. If you take a bottle of cognac, of vodka, and you put 1 droplet, that would be more than infused. That would be a big infusion. Inside a bottle of vodka, it will never turn that dark. So people read with their mind. They see this. The bottle doesn't look like a vodka. It looks like a cognac. Perfect. The presentation looks more like a cognac. Perfect. It's $25. Gee, that's cheap for a cognac. Perfect. It says cognac on the bottle. A bottle. It's lots of percentage of alcohol, and essentially, I think I'm getting as drunk as usual, and I'm feeling better because I'm drinking cognac, which is more upscale. Great, everybody's happy, and this product became a bestseller in America, and they went from nothing to millionaires. using the simple technique I just told you a few seconds ago. This technique, I mean, I'm not recommending, but I'm saying that's how most business is done. I'm not saying that it's manipulative. I'm not saying that it's dishonest. What I'm saying is that people are making decisions by jumping to conclusion. And when you sell, when you're in the business, you have to take this into account. And therefore, you can take advantage of it by using it in your advantage. Yes, Carlo.
Professor, that's a great analogy. I'm just kind of curious because I know in the liquor business there's laws against these type of marketing schemes. Like for example, scotch has to be made a certain way, champagne has to be made a certain way, vodka has to be made a certain way. Like vodka by definition has no flavor and no taste, except for what makes vodka. So you know, I don't see this too often. So it's interesting that it was able to get by.
Well, but sometimes what happens is for this not to get by, it would have to be someone putting great effort in stopping it. Therefore, you would have to, to, to demonstrate and have evidence, objective evidence, to show that people bought this product thinking it was something else.
Are you saying that even though there's rules and laws, that there's the people that govern it are not really governing it? It's more of the business sticking to those rules and laws and the purities?
Look, there's rules and laws of driving 65 miles on the freeway. I would say 99.9% of the time I'm on the freeway, most people drive faster than that.
Yeah.
That's why eventually what they want to do is put a box inside the car, a black box. That way everybody will know that they are being recorded. And if they are stopped, the policeman will just bring their phone next to the car, and then the car would say, oh, you've been going on average of this in the last 30 minutes, blah, 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 you've been there. I can give you a ticket based on what's in the black box. And the black box will come in, then they're going to make the black box communicate directly to the police station. So then you're not going to be able to drive faster than you're supposed to. So that's what I'm trying to say.
That might be a good idea for someone on a DUI. It's actually a very good idea. You have to blow into the machine already to be able to turn on the vehicle. Now you're speeding and you already have a DUI. That's interesting.
Yeah. So this is all of this is coming. The problem is you make the law, and then you create the office to enforce the law. But if the office that you create to enforce the law has 4 people, and that's supposed to cover America, it takes a long time. And these 4 people, I say 4, there may be more than 4, the one taking care of it, but they're not that many. If those 4, what do? They take care of the one that are present. And which one are present? Is when there's another big guy that is bothered by this. A big company that is not them, that is bothered by this. Then the big company, they don't have 4 guys that take care of these things. There are 15 guys that take care of these kind of things for them. And then they send the 15 guys, talk to the 4 guys of the government, and they say, hey, I'm so-and-so, the number 1 biggest company, and I don't like this. And then they put it in their priority for today. And then they issue a letter 2 hours after, and then these people get the letter, and in the letter, they get the tone of the voice. And if they got rich fast enough, what they do is they sell and they take the money and go away. Or if they're rich fast enough, they take their money and fight it. And then they make the word with, infused with a little bigger until they satisfy everybody. Or they make the cognac a little smaller until they satisfy everybody. And they just do like this. It's a lot of times in business, you do things until you're caught and you hope to make a lot of money in that period of time, so that way you have made enough money and you don't care. Or what you do is you wait for someone to come and go, don't do it again, and then you just don't do it again. But in the meantime, you made some money. So it happens as we speak in every industry, in every state, every county, every government, every area in the world. And there's lots of people that do that. And so what I'm trying to say is, I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm saying that you should be knowledgeable, cognizant, understanding that this exists, and it is not a minority, it's a majority. And that way you can see what your competitors are doing. You can see how they're treating their customers. That way you can decide where you want to be on the line. More on the right, more on the left, more in the middle. Where do you want to be on the line? But you don't want to be naive and think consumers know when things are good. They don't. For the most part, consumers don't know when things are good. For the most part, consumers are being taken advantage by the company knowing how they think and using that in their advantages. Okay? So understanding consumers, understanding what is the targets, understanding positioning and segmentation is very important. I would spend some time. So going back to, you need to understand strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. You will. You need to understand the good and bad opportunities. So I have some examples that I want to go very quickly on over. Good and bad examples here. So, oh, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. Here we go. So, good opportunities. The demand for eyebrow services and products has been increasing in past years and has continued at a steady incline. The eyebrow makeup segment saw the most growth within the eye makeup industry, 34% in the 12 months ending this date, according to that source. That's a good opportunity. It's just stated like this. An opportunity is a fact supported by data. And this data is reliable. So Forrester is a reliable source. The timeline is reliable. So if this was today, that would not be very good because it's already 7 years old. But that would be the fault to this. Now, bad opportunities. They look like this. Companies' products are superior over competitors' products. However, the company can show better their products by promoting in extreme sports events. Why? So let me ask Mariam here. Why is this one a bad opportunity?
Because there's no data and there's no reliable source stated.
So there's no data, no reliable source. So that's very good. But what else? So it's good because you picked up what I just said. But let me see. Ivan, can you say why this is not good in addition to what Mariam just said? Hello, Ivan. I'm just checking. Ivan. Yeah. Why is this a bad opportunity?
Yes. It's too vague.
So it's vague for sure. Yeah. But there's bigger problem than that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I give you a tip. There's like 2 sentences and each one has a problem. So first, the first one.
They're not.
Yeah, they are not. This is not an opportunity. That's a strength. Opportunities are external. So you don't say our products are better than our competitors. That's something you would put in the strength. So that's a big boo-boo to mix strengths and opportunity. And then what about the next one? What's the problem with this? Would you know, Ivan? So anyone that has the answer to this, well, why would that be bad? So
Is it just a limited market?
well, there's something that is limited. Opportunity
It's
should
not
be more
specific enough. What extreme sports are you talking about? Are you talking about an event? Are you talking about a particular sport? Are you talking about sponsoring sponsoring an athlete? It's so vague that you can't, that your mind just wanders. What exactly are you referring to?
All right, right. Let's go back and do another one of the good one. The number of franchisees being established has steadily increased in the past several years. Among the top 10 franchisees of 2015 are Hamptons Hotels, Anytime Fitness, Supercuts, and Surf Pro, which are all in the service industry. Anytime Fitness and Supercuts placement in the top 10 franchise of 2015 indicate that there's a demand for services that pertain to personal appearances, according to Franchise Magazine 2015. Opportunities are external, so you don't talk about strengths, weaknesses. You don't mention the name of your client. Califia Farm, never mentioned in opportunities. They are not telling you what you're going to do. Opportunities don't say what you're supposed to do. They're just facts. They're just facts of some changes, facts of some decline, facts of some growth. Here, the problem with this one, or whether the company can show better their products by promoting in extreme sports, it's telling you what you should do. An opportunity is not explaining what you should do. That's a strategy or a tactic. The company should do, remember the list that we had? The company should do ice cream, kids products, products for franchise, retail store, all of this. That's what you should do. They are not the opportunity. You have to turn these into the opportunities, which will be for ice cream. That's simply that consumption of ice cream has increased by 16% in the past 2 years. I'm not saying we should do ice cream. I'm just saying ice cream sales have grown. Then I don't say, ice cream sales have grown by 16% in the past 2 years. Therefore, we should show better the products in promoting extreme sports. No, you don't put this into the opportunity. You put this as a recommendation for promotion. It's not even a strategy. It's a tactic to say that to promote in extreme sports. I could make it even more obnoxious. I could say can show better their products by promoting it in badminton. They should promote it in badminton. It's like badminton, that's so specific. It's got to be some kind of tactic. It can't be a strategy. So what you need to do as a consultant, because you are the expert, is you cannot misunderstand what are opportunities, what are strategies, what are strengths, what are tactics. All of these are different things. Imagine today I tell you, okay, we're going to do, this is military school, the Nazarian School of Military, okay? And you are trying to become high-ranking officers. And then I tell you, give me the opportunities. And inside the opportunities, you say, we are better than our enemies. No, that's a strength. And we want to buy more cartridge of 7.5 millimeters. It's like, as a general, that's all you have to recommend, to buy more 7.5 millimeter cartridge. A general doesn't talk about cartridge. They're thinking at a much higher level. They are in charge of strategies. They're in charge of making decisions that are going to be what everybody's going to be working around for the next 12 months. Talking about the 7.5 cartridge is a matter of a surgeon, maybe, even less. So there is an order of importance and priority, and opportunities are the widest, deepest, longest importance of priority. Okay, so inside this, that's why this, if you wonder where is this, the bad and good, it's inside tips, I think, in Canvas, tips or extras. And you will see there's good and bad opportunities. You can look at them. Inside the reports that you will get, you will see that people, I would say 90% of the time, 95% of the time, have done well putting things in the right places, most of the time. So that was a mistake that I didn't see, but that's a mistake that I want you to really be confident, because this is like the 101 of business officer, if I could say, right? Of a high-ranking person, is they don't get confused. So let's look at another one, and let's ask Tigran to tell us what he thinks of this one. Buying a 3D printer would allow the company to make custom equipment and new prototypes, for example, just before going to a trade show. Is that a good opportunity?
Again, it's not really an opportunity from what it seems. It's telling you to buy a 3D printer for the purpose of going to a trade show, which seems, again, like a suggestion more than identifying a market or possibly somewhere that they could
exactly. So it's a suggestion.
Utilize. Yes, it's a suggestion again, rather than an opportunity. There's no market being identified.
And is this like something that would be surgeon-like or general-like to think about?
Well, it's definitely not a general, because it's not an all-encompassing thing. It seems more like a surgeon telling like a squad of soldiers to do something, more so than the entire army,
thing.
if we're tying the analogy.
Exactly. So it's tiny detail. Company could improve its sales by upgrading the website. What do you think? Let me ask Sharon.
It's another recommendation, and it's also very vague too.
Yeah, so normally where would that fit? In a SWOT, for example. What would be the best place for this? Is it a threat? It's not an opportunity, we decided. Where would it fit?
Is it a strength or
No.
weakness?
It looks more like it would belong in a weakness section. But you would not write it like that. Is you would say,
yeah,
the website is weak when it comes to engaging sales. You've noted that they have a website that sucks. So that's essentially what this says, to sell. So that's a weakness. Okay, so these actually took these from real projects from students that they put inside the opportunity, because like this, someone that is not educated would say, improving the website. Hey, that's an opportunity. Like a newcomer, the fresh from the pond coming. Oh, that's an opportunity. Improve the website. That website is not very good. Oh, their social media is not very good. Opportunity, improve the social media. I see that one all the time. Improve their Facebook page. That's what people used to say 5 years ago. Now they don't seem to care so much about Facebook, but that's what it is. Start a TikTok. That's not an opportunity. So starting a TikTok is not an opportunity. Why? You see, 4 years ago, when we were in the classroom, I tell you this, I swear it's the truth. I walk into the class and I said to the students, you need to start using TikTok. They looked at me and said, I said, you need to start using TikTok because the number of people starting to use TikTok is increasing by 25%. And right now it's just teenagers, the same as Facebook. At one time, it was just young people. And then it's going to grow into a wider population. And so you want to do it now that it's still easy to have followers and fans, which is going to be harder and harder in Instagram. They looked at me and said, no way, professor, you're an old fart. They didn't believe me. That was an opportunity. The opportunity is TikTok is growing. TikTok is becoming an easier way to get fans than any other social media. That was the opportunity. Then starting to have a TikTok, that's not an opportunity. That's the outcome of the opportunity. So the outcome is always a fact. You know, the outcome is what is going on. It's raining. I get a rain jacket. The opportunity is the rain. Getting a rain jacket is the outcome of the opportunity. So if you say you should get an opportunity is get a rain jacket because it's raining, that's the outcome. The rain is the opportunity. Gas prices are going up. That's the opportunity. Start making electric cars. That's the outcome. Okay, so next one. A great deal of people would like to try spear fishing, but many people do not know much about it. Company could have open days to invite beginners for a presentation. Annie, why is this a good or bad? What is this?
It sounds more like a suggestion than like it sounds more well, I actually like this opportunity kind of, but I just don't like how the word like the way they worded it because it sounds
Yes.
more like a suggestion.
Yeah, so it's essentially they sort of understood what they were supposed to do, but not totally exactly. So you would turn, how would you turn the sentence then? How would you make it right?
I would probably get rid of the entire first sentence maybe and just keep like um having like well something along the lines of like open days to invite beginners for a presentation. I don't think a lot of the stuff that they have written there it's necessary because it makes it sound like a suggestion. So maybe just keeping like the last little phrase open days to invite beginners for a presentation or something like that, like reword that part.
So you would say open days are very effective mostly for beginners that do not know much about spearfishing or any spearfishing diving activities. So it's just a fact.
Something like that.
Yeah. So the most effective way to get beginners interested in diving has been found to be open days, according to dive.com 2021. That's it. Yeah. And then the only problem with this, what would be the problem with that? We've corrected it. You and I have just corrected it right now. But what's the problem with that opportunity that says open days have been found to be the most effective promotion activity to engage beginners? Look, dive.com 2021. Perfect. I love it. 100%. But what's wrong with that? It's good, but it's why we're not like, yeah. What's the problem with that?
Maybe using like maybe there's like keywords like beginners that may not really target like
no, it's something else. So what about Ricardo? What do you think is the problem with the sentence that we've corrected?
Perhaps it's that it's still a little too not very it doesn't explain very well what the opportunity is. It's still more of like a little too vague or too much, still leaning towards a suggestion about what exactly about the open days. It doesn't tell you very much like facts or details or.
Yeah, it's true. So maybe it's too vague. It's true. But the biggest problem is not this, this is an opportunity that is very, 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 very specific and tactical. So look, imagine
Wouldn't
this.
you want to target more people than just beginners?
Oh no, look, you see, actually, spear fishing is a very good example. This project was, here's one thing. We did this project for one of the biggest company that does spear fishing. The problem with spear fishing was that it's a sport that is not very known. So not a lot of people do it. And not a lot of people get to see it. And once people see it, then they're interested to do it and then they like it. So you have to be exposed. So exposure is number one. It's Who does spearfishing? You have 100 people, then 5 people lift their hand. Then you ask them, was your dad doing spearfishing? Yes. And then you know. It goes from in the family. If you've done, your family's done spearfishing, you do spearfishing. So you have to expose people. So that was a big threat. People don't get exposed. Then there was another problem with spearfishing is you have to be fit. You know, this was not a sport that you could do if you're not like an athlete. There's not a lot of people with bad health condition that can do spearfishing. I can tell you that, because you know what spearfishing is you go in the ocean, you have a gun with an arrow at the end, which is about to go in your feet, that you have to point the other direction. Then you catch your breath, then you dive, then you put yourself under a rock and you wait for a fish to come. And then when the fish come, you have to spare the thing, and you have 99% chance to miss it. And then you have to quickly catch the fish and go back up, which means that essentially you have to do all of this and stay 3 or 4 minutes under the water with one breath. And the deeper you go, the more likely you can catch yourself under a rock. So this is not a sport that you learn in 5 minutes, and it's not a sport that you go if you're not like on a good day. So that was a big problem, and it's expensive. The equipment is expensive, so it's an expensive equipment for very motivated athletes that go in water that are cold, that you have to pee in your wetsuit, and you have to fight the fact that the wetsuit all it wants to do is float, and all you want to do is go to the bottom. So therefore, you have to put weight on yourself, and it's dangerous. I mean, it's tough sports. So it's never going to be popular for hundreds of reasons. And therefore, thinking about how to make it more popular, obviously, that's kind of a good idea. It's looking at those open days and all of this, which the client was not doing. And we found that it was effective. The big problem with that sentence is it's tactical and not strategic. So if you have 100 opportunities in your opportunity section, it's okay to have some tactical. But if you have only 5 or 6 or 7, you want them to be strategic, which means that they are big. And so the people from my previous class will know this. Tactical opportunities are cute. They are nice. It's nice to have them, maybe, but they don't do much if you only have a few. If you only have a few, you want them strategic, not so tactical. You know, it's like you find that white paint helps building because the buildings don't have to be painted as often. And then you go on Google and you find that the building of Califia Farm is blue. And then you put in the opportunity, white paint is better for the sustainability of the paint, and it's more recommended for large buildings. Fine. But I mean, we're not going to tell the clients they need to repaint their building. It's the tiny nothing. We stay away from those opportunities that are so minuscules, you know. So again, if you have 100 opportunities, it's okay to have a bunch of minuscules in there. But if you have too many, it looks like you have nothing to say. You know, it's like you go to this restaurant and you look at the menu and it says oranges, apricots, and olives. That's the menu. I mean, I'm not going to have a dinner of olives and 2 apricots. So that's the same thing. It needs to be consistent. Companies should take the opportunity that many hotels are on the ocean to offer diving instructions. What's wrong with that? And I'll ask Sammy.
With that one,
Yes.
You want me to rephrase it, correct?
Well, first, tell us what's good, what's bad.
I want to say the wording is bad.
Yeah, the wording is bad.
And then, like, the good part is, it's like an opportunity for hotels to attract like more visitors by offering diving instructions.
Yeah, but that you're still suggesting what they should do. Remember, in opportunities, you do not suggest what they should do. I know you probably find a lot of business plan which have opportunities and inside they say what they should do, but it's wrong. It should be just a fact. So what's the fact here?
Hotels offer diving instruction, or is that still
no?
It's still a strategy.
Yeah, it's a tactic, maybe even. No, it should say, according to hotels.com, 6,000 hotels in America are facing the ocean. 2021. So there's 6,000 hotels in America on over the ocean. 6,000 hotels that have to be doing diving, and what we found is there's only 33. 33 minus 6,000, that's 5,967 hotels that we could contact today and tell them, why don't you do diving instructions? So that becomes a set of potential clients. And that's an opportunity. Suddenly that's a target that we could focus on. So you have to rephrase it by looking at the fact. Here, the fact is there's a lot of hotels, but don't say, you see, if you say 6,000 hotels are facing the ocean and only 33 offer diving instruction, that's an opportunity. Then the suggestion is companies should take the opportunity that 6,000 are facing the ocean and so few are giving instructions. So this sentence is just a recommendation and it's not stated as an opportunity. Sami, try to do the next one. Rich people look for the best, and company has the opportunity to let these rich people know that they have the best products.
Can you say like according to businesses, or according to business.com, rich people like to have the best products?
Yeah, that's already better, yeah. But you have to fix a little bit this. I mean, you did a good backflip, but you landed on 1 foot. I want you to land on 2 feet.
Okay.
But so 2 feet, what's a 2 feet landing? So for example, business.com, I don't know if that would be a good source. You know, I would say,
can you use insider.com or?
Yeah, insider.com maybe. Yeah, according to insider.com, yeah, and then no, fix it a little. What do rich people do? Rich people buy the most expensive products, or look at the highest rated products, or from the most exclusive products, or from the most famous store. You see, you have to add something like this.
Yeah. So according to insider.com, rich people like to buy the most expensive products in the store.
In the store, yeah. Okay, good. That's a 2 feet landing now. Okay, so I'm happy with you. I think you totally got it. Let's see someone else that I haven't heard today, because we didn't see them. Sometimes it's what about Elon? We don't see you, but let's see if Elon, you can do the next one. Company's founder is very famous. It would be a great opportunity to inform customers about him. Elon, can you do that?
I feel like this one is actually more tough than the other ones.
Good.
So, and it's the reason why it's bad, right?
Well, first I can tell you one thing, it's bad. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's because it's trying to force too much attention to the founder when
yeah.
it's not necessarily the main attraction, I would say.
It's simple. It's much more simple than this. Look, I'll do that one for you. First, company's founder is very famous. That's a strength. Imagine imagine someone sells Tesla and the founder is Bill Gates. I'm sure Bill Gates will be mentioned all day long, or Elon Musk. I'm sure they mention Elon Musk when they talk about Tesla. So wouldn't you say that Elon Musk is a strength for Tesla because he's very famous? Yes, it is. It's just like a celebrity business person. So that would go in the strength. Elon Musk is a very recognized business individual, which has a lot of followers and people that believe that whatever he touches, whatever he does is great. In the strength. Then you don't put in the opportunity. Company's founder is very famous. It would be a great opportunity to inform customers about him. No. So you have to reverse this into an opportunity. I would reverse it by saying that people in general are influenced by businesses whose ownership is in part owned by celebrity, according to that research, blah, 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 and blah, 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 that shows that celebrity businesses have more followings faster, more than not. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Okay, so now the next one is yours.
Mine?
Yes, this one. Some competitors are making poor quality products. This is an opportunity for the company to tell customers they have high quality products. I mean, these are real one that the students have put inside the opportunity.
So the strength would be that
it doesn't have to be a strength. It's not always that there's a strength or weaknesses in there. It was the one before that happened to be that way. But that one.
But you could use that for this one too, can't you?
Yeah.
Like the strength on this one could be that they're to tell their customers that they have high quality products.
So yeah, the strengths could be that our products have been rated by JD Power at 95 points.
Yeah,
which is one of the 3 best in America. So you could put that in there.
Documentation or award to back it up that you're one of the best out there, for example.
Yes. But how would you turn this into an opportunity?
You could say that since we have high quality products, it beats the competition.
No, you never mention the company inside the opportunities. It's always just a fact.
Okay. So you
go back to what you just said. Say according to JD Power, Califia Farm has one of the 3 best coffee. jdpower.com 2021. So that's what you extracted from this and you put it inside the strength. Now, how would you turn this into an opportunity?
You just reword that pretty much, no?
Yeah, exactly. But how?
The opportunity would be like, since it's a JD powered awarded company.
Yeah, but you can't talk about the company inside the opportunity. But you're on the right track, but you can't talk about the company, but you're on the right track.
That makes it so much harder.
But you are. So just say that ratings such as JD Power have a huge influence on consumer choices.
I see.
According to Forrester Research, 2020.
So pretty much you're just using the platform that helps promote the brand or company.
Yeah. That would say therefore you want to keep doing JD Power, but you want to maybe do other ones because that's how you're gonna. These are opportunities to improve your sales by using some existing ratings. But then you're not going to blindly pick the one that you're going to go after. Maybe JD Power doesn't make sense. Maybe it's some other ratings. So that's why you have to look at the world around you is a world where you have things that you can take advantage of. And there are changes that you can take advantage of. For example, ratings in my business doesn't do that much. The ratings of spirits doesn't do that much. I want 3-time world best cognac maker, not 1 time, not 2 times, 3 times from the #1 rating of spirits. Did it help me? A little bit. So it's not like it does nothing, but I want world best. I didn't want a gold medal. I want #1 best in front of all the brands that you may know. It helped me very little. However, if I was a wine or a beer, it will make a huge difference. So for some category it does, and for some category it doesn't. For wine it does, for beer it does, for spirit it doesn't. Now, would I put this into the opportunity section? No. If I put it as a mild things, I would say, spirit rating as a level of influence, a very moderate level of influence, and therefore it's worth doing some, but with parsimony. Parsimony means not too much because it's expensive. So it's not, don't expect dollar to dollar. If you have a wine company, it's a must. You have to. It's a necessity. It's a requirement. If you have a spirits company, it's not a necessity. It's good. It's okay. You don't have to. So now, for Califia Farms, would be interesting to know if that would help them. I think what would help them are the organic USDA certification. I think that's good to have, probably helps. There's also the religious certification, like Parev, the Jewish certification. They have a name for it, kosher, things to be kosher. That could have some influence. So you could say kosher certification are known to increase the consumption of certain products such as X, Y, and Z according to that thing or whatever. So then do you belong to what kosher makes? Like, for example, for a spirit being kosher, it helps a little bit, but it's not that big. For wine, yes. For wine, there is a big difference. So that's why you have to study opportunities, because you can't take one rule that applies to every industry. Does that make sense? So you need to become more comfortable with this. And again, everything is on your side. Essentially, you have 24 reports to study. Do not look at this as a tough assignment, because it's 24 reports to study. This is a normal assignment of a business person who is a consultant, is to collect data. So you don't have to collect that much data. They're given to you. So you save 50%. And then read them. And the beauty is these were specific, they are recent, they're very appropriate, and that gives you a head start to look at. I would imagine that you'll have to meet. My recommendation on how to implement this would be to go and set up a meeting with your team members as soon as possible. What I mean is maybe not meet as soon as possible, but set up the meeting as soon as possible. You should set up the meeting today saying, we're going to meet on Tuesday at this time. And between now and Tuesday, everybody needs to read the 24 reports and be able to talk about what they found that were the most interesting. Now, be careful. When you skim and scan those 24 reports, that's why I'm doing this exercise. Look for the strategic opportunities, right? So the strategic opportunities are, let me go to that very quick. Going back to what are the strategies, there's 4 strategies that cover 75% of the situation. So you either do a market penetration, and that is when you sell the same thing to the same people. So to take a simple example, Coca-Cola wants to sell more Coca-Cola. What would be market penetration? Well, market penetration would be saying we want to increase the number of sales. So they sell 1 million bottles a day. Now they want to sell 10% more, 1.1 million bottles. So to do this, they will maybe reduce the price, maybe increase the distribution, maybe increase the communication, advertising, social media. Fine, that's market penetration. Now, new product development will be when they decide to create a new Coke flavor. So now it's peanut butter Coke flavor. Peanut butter Coke flavor will be for the same people. There may be some other people, but most of the people like peanut butter in the USA. So it will be for people looking for that. Now, market development will be the same product, but for a new group of customers. So let's say that they find out that the people who are above 70 years old, most of them don't drink Coke. And so they want the 70 years old to drink less coffee and more Coke. Then they would use the same product, but talk about the caffeine that there is in Coke and say, you know, right in the morning, I get some Coke, I get the sugar, I get the energy, I get I get to feel good about my back, my knee, my energy to start the day. I'm older and I need to go play golf and blah, blah, blah. And so that would be Coke for the old people so they can play more golf. Market development. And then diversification is when they do something totally different. So if you're doing a flavored Coke, peanut butter Coke for over 70 years old, you're essentially doing product development and market development. So it's two strategies. But if you're doing diversification, it's suddenly Coke is making motorcycle engine. And that would become a diversification, which is it's significantly different. Or it's like Coke ice cream or Coke coffee. Coca-Cola coffee, I don't think they're making it. That would be a diversification. Okay. So do you have any questions? So make a meeting, look at the reports, be very clear to look at it from a high level, strategic opportunity perspective. Make the list as big as you can. Keep your mind open to other ideas that you may run into as you're discovering data. And then work on the SWOT, on your own SWOT, which is essentially a compilation of the 24 reports. So making a compilation is not that difficult. Just write it better than what it is in there. So are you going to do some copy and paste? Yes. Is it plagiarism? No. Do not worry about plagiarism for making your compilation, right? The little exercise that is difficult is you can assign someone to do strengths and assign someone to do opportunities, but you don't want, when you make that assignment, keep it compartmented where you don't look at each other work. It would ideally, the best way would be when you have two people responsible for each and you have some kind of overlap between the people. Is one person is in charge of strengths and weaknesses, the other one is in charge of weaknesses and opportunities, the other one. That way you have to have an understanding of the whole thing. If you compartment, you sort of block the discussion between the people, and it's much better when everybody understand the whole picture. Some of you want to become a consultant. Some of you may not want to become a consultant, but you may discover that this is good. I mean, the most prestigious jobs in business are in consulting firm. So usually the top students, that's what they want to do, work for a consulting firm. And what you're doing right now is exactly what you will do in a consulting firm and more, because in a consulting firm, usually they don't give you this kind of responsibility because these are too high level. This is not junior, fresh from school type of opportunity to work on. Normally you support someone who's doing that. So you just, they are little gopher looking for stuff. So you're learning by seeing what they do. But right now in this class, you will do it yourself. So that way you get the experience to actually do it. So you can't be shy. You have to talk with your team members. You may even decide to meet 2 times and be very effective with your time in meeting. I don't know. But you will be meeting more than once, I think, every week in order to get the project going. There's no real hard part, but there's parts are harder. The hardest part will be to build your argument on how is the product or those high-level strategic ideas are going to work. and find the data to support it, and find some detailed implementation plan. So I recommend again that you go into the canvas and that you look at these 24 reports, that you meet, that you come up with this thing, and then that you look inside the extra and the tips for past presentation. I try to put as many PowerPoint presentation from the past in there. And I recommend you the one that have a big appendix. So you will see there is one called chain ticks, napkin. These are very good because they are full presentation. And at the end of the presentation, they created an appendix that has details. Another thing you will discover is when you make a presentation, you use the least word as possible. See, this is a good presentation, PowerPoint. This is a good PowerPoint. This is a good PowerPoint. Let's say this is not a good PowerPoint. Too many words, right? So eventually, your presentation is going to look more like that than that. That's a bad. That's a good. Bad, good, 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 right? Good. That's how they need to look. So you'll see in the samples, all of them are pretty much this format. The people that did the Wells Fargo, they followed this format. So best of luck, work with each other, wear your consulting hat and not your student hat, and learn. Learn for yourself. This is for yourself, okay? If you have questions, email me, and next week I will have the time to spend to look at the details and all that with you. All right, any questions? And you can find the team member inside the syllabus. I'm sure you found it already with the email and all that. So just email each other, and maybe you've already done it. I don't know. Okay, perfect. Have a great week.
Thank you, Professor.
Thanks, Professor.
Thank
Take care.
you. I look forward to see you grow with this. It should be fun. This is like the real thing. So see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.